Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another one of our Fatherhood series sessions with Compadre y Compadre. And tonight we have Osvaldo Guerrero. How are you doing tonight, Osvaldo?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking.
Good. It's good to have you back. Um, we had a really great conversation the last time you were here,
Mhm.
and our community members really enjoyed that presentation. And so we're glad to have you back again. And so, yeah, tonight's topic is social and emotional learning, right? And so, for those of you out there, again, Compadre Compadre is a free program that is available through our Family Strengthening Program, part of the Children's Shelter Family of Services. And yeah, we're really, really excited to do that. Um, just to mention a few things, this is the month of May, so it is Foster Care Awareness Month. And for those of you who don't know, every Wednesday at lunchtime, right at noon, we will be having a conversation with Leisha Nolan, who is our foster care recruiter,
Mhm.
and we will also be having conversations with her about our foster care program. And I believe we will continue the month of May, which is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And we will also continue having conversations with our Hope Center uh, staff. And our Hope Center is our where we do provide mental health and different services, and I'm really, really excited about that because that'll be the first time really having conversations with our Hope Center staff, our Harvey Nasium Hope Center staff. So, but other than that, let's get this conversation started. You ready,
That's
Mr.
awesome.
Osvaldo?
Thank you very much, Mr. Nesto. It's always a pleasure coming out again, doing these fatherhood fundamentals, and getting all this information out to the community, to our audience, to the fathers, to the mothers that are out here in the community. So let's start this conversation. So we're actually going to start talking about um, social and emotional learning. One of the
Okay.
great in our program, Ernesto, what we do is first define what is social learning. And so again, social learning is defined as learning through observations of others. So one of the key elements that we talk about here in the social learning is introducing play. Nowadays, play is not only going outside and getting some sun. It's not only getting active, but there are crucial elements that children actually learn through play. So one of the great things about our program is that we implement different stations and do different activities. This was actually before COVID. Now virtually, what we do is we kind of just talk about the different type of activities that we do. Since we can't really do a lot of hands-on, but before we had stations where we had fathers do different activities that would teach them all these different social skills. Because believe it or not, that's what children are actually learning. Children learn through the process of observing, and also interacting. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, it's amazing. One of the things that we talk about in the social learning when it comes to play is using imagination. So we have different fathers come through the program. We have I've taught a father as early on from high school to all the way from providing tools for a grandfather that is raising his grandchildren. So think about the immense of time, right? Since they had a childhood experience, and so one of the great things that we show our fathers is that when it comes to imagination and to creativity, children have mastered that, right? When it comes to play, when it comes to socializing, and when children actually have an interaction with other children, they start imaginative play, which is phenomenal. So we actually open up the idea for these dads to actually connect to their inner child, to remember their childhood experiences, to reflect about their memories, to reflect about the different type of activities when it comes to play, because their children are learning that through that process. You know, so imagination, creativity, it is a great element of play. It is that's how creativity. That's when talent comes out. That's when a lot of these unique skills come out. And so actually, when we before COVID, we had a specific station where we had a station of just of different materials, and we would ask the father to create a game. So they'll start, they'll get dice, they'll get certain materials. They even put a game system into that, and so that's a station that we use so that the fathers can relate to their creativity and their imagination. I actually do show a video as well, of children playing and interacting. And I ask these fathers, look, I want you to pay close attention to this child. Look what he's thinking. Look at what his mind is thinking, is creating, by using his imagination. And so that's one of the elements of play that we talk about when it comes to learning a social skill. The next thing is language, right? Children learn language through play. Believe it or not, Mr. Nesto, language starts developing even as early as 9 months.
Mm,
Babies are able to understand what no is, what bye bye is, like very simple words. And so we help these fathers understand that through the experiences that children go through when it comes to the social learning, the language is developed. You know, and again, when it goes back, when I explained earlier, where I show a video of children playing, these fathers are able to recognize, yeah, children actually learn, they actually communicate. And I think that's something that we talked about last time I was here, is different forms of communication, and that is
right,
verbal communication. So language gets built up, and so that is a very important element when it comes to social learning, when it comes to play. Another one would be role playing. It is, you know, fathers teaching their children, about different, when it comes to play, they have children play different roles, right? And I'll give you an example. So if a child picks up a fake telephone, right? They can start having conversation. They start role playing. Oh, this is me. How can I help you? So I even watch, in my personal experiences. I even watch my nieces do that when it comes to role playing. Or putting on an outfit. I think here in San Antonio we actually have, what is that place called where they can actually dress up? It's a museum. I don't know. I
is it
forgot.
the Deusium?
Yes, a museum.
Yes, yeah,
Yes, museum. That is an incredible place. For the audience that is here, hopefully when they start opening stuff back again, I highly encourage, because that is a great place for children to actually role play different scenarios. From pushing a cart to grocery shopping to counting money, or becoming doctors, right? Nowadays, we give children, the toys and the gifts, and so they have that ability to actually use their imagination to have a role play experience. Another subject that we talked about during social learning when it comes to play is safety. Safety is very important. I advise to the fathers that I teach on a weekly basis when it comes to this class is teach them about safety, because when it comes to the safety of children, that is very important. And today, this month is Child Awareness Day. Child abuse month, right? So you want to make sure that children are actually safe in a safe environment. Teaching children about saying no, or what is it, stranger danger, right? Um, and by observing that, in this world we have good people, we have bad people. So that's something that we talk about when it comes to that, even through that play. I've seen many videos, and I encourage fathers to look at videos where they can look for safety, when there's safety concerns. Look at this, look at that, so that they can be aware where their children are at. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds for somebody to snatch your child off the playground if you're not paying attention. So safety when it comes to that, and also safety when it comes to children not physically hurting each other. That's very important. So that's something that we talk about when it comes to social learning. Um, Another thing we talk about, Ernesto, is coming up with physical activity board games. Right, each game has a goal. Spending family time, again, children learn through that experience. So when fathers and mothers are available and has spent time with their children, sports can actually be introduced as early as 5 to 6 years of age. I remember When I was little, my very first soccer team was X-Men. I was 5 years old. We looked like bumblebees, you know. Um, but having access to sports, having access to social activities, will allow children to explore that social area, to explore again, going back to the social skills, right? They're going to learn how to interact with others. They're going to language building. They actually find even self identity when it comes to groups as early as 5 to 6 years of age. Fathers can identify children's interests, right? Every child is different. Every child is going to learn differently. So as a father, it's important to understand that my child will learn differently. So again, social learning can be done through observing. Children learn through observing, and so it's important to understand that children will have different interests, right? To be supportive would be another thing. Being supportive in whatever the child wants, as far as sports or social activities, right? You don't want to have a mindset of you're gonna do it this way because I want you to, instead of just being open and saying, you know what, I'm gonna support what you want to do. So that way you have a closer relationship with your children when it comes to social learning, right? Children learn every single day, every second. They learn through behavior. They learn how to regulate emotions, and that's actually something that we're going to talk about real quick. In our program, Mr. Ernesto, we actually talk about six different emotions. We actually define what are each of these feelings: the feeling of sadness or happiness, or anger or fear, or joyful or jealousy, right? And the great thing is that after you define these feelings, you also have a sense of expression, right? In emotions, you have feeling, and then you have expression. What is the difference? Well, feeling is internally, right? And then expression is external. Is how do other people can tell how you're feeling? um, One of the things that we talk about in our program is culture, and how does culture impact our own fathering. And so there's specific cultures out there that certain emotions are seen as weak, like sadness or fear in boys. And just to understand that boys and girls have access to all these feelings, right? And so it's important that dad, the mom, they're able to open up and share these experiences. One of the things we do in our lessons is we have our fathers reflect back and give us examples of each of these feelings. For example, this week I actually taught this class where I asked the father, "When was the last time you felt joyful?" There's a difference between feeling happy and feeling joyful. Feeling joyful,
Absolutely.
feeling joyful is like happiness times 10. It's like rush, right? You tell a 5-year-old, "We're going to Chuck E. Cheese, we're going to Peter Piper." Man, their face is like, lit up. Their eyes are lit up, and they're like, "Yay, we're gonna play games. We're gonna have pizza, right?" Man, I love pizza. But anyways, um, the example that the father gave me was very powerful. He said he is doing visitations with his children. He sees his child twice a week for about an hour. And he says the last time he was joyful was when he saw his son running to him. That is the moment
Wow.
joyful. So that is something that we cover here is very impactful. These fathers learned from each other. In class we actually would do an activity where I would have the fathers come to the board, and each of these emotions uh, is it easy, middle, or difficult for them to express or feel these emotions. And so at the end, after the last father shares, Mr. Ernesto, you can see on the board where like it's all like it's all like if you're looking at a bell curve, that's how it looks like. It's like all over the place. Uh,
Wow.
and so that tells you what? It tells you that fathers have different experiences, and that's why they suppress a lot of these emotions. And so again, children learn through observing, and so children learn through observing their fathers, their mothers, right? When it comes to emotions, and when it comes to emotion, there is a deeper connection between that. It's a deep personal connection, and children will actually have access to their emotions. But it's very powerful. It's very powerful when these dads share these experiences and they say, "Wow, I've never looked at it that way." as far as definition, because sometimes an emotion can be seen a different way, or it can be expressed a different way, and those are the things that we have to step back and realize what is the actual definition, what is the way you can express this emotion in a positive way, right? Because if we look at the emotion of anger, that is everybody has access to that, even children. And so if a child sees dad become violent, right, starts hitting mom or starts hitting doorknobs, or punching walls, and making holes in the wall, they're teaching their sons how to become violent, and that's how they express the violence. And so a positive way you can actually express anger in a positive way is maybe walking away or being patient, talking to your children, right? They're going to be children, they're going to throw toys when they're upset, or they might kick their own brother and sister, and that's something that we want to prevent by just talking to them and sitting down to them and showing them this is the way you can express this behavior, by finding an alternate way of expressing it, you know accept them and acknowledge them. Again, when it comes to feelings, even an example that I can give you, right? If you have your 5-year-old son tossing toys all over the place, uh, don't necessarily focus on him throwing the toys. Focus on him, focus on what he's feeling. And so one of the ways we actually teach our fathers is to approach and recognize, right, through a nonverbal communication, through their facial expression, through their body language, right, helping them see, this, they're feeling angry, so they're throwing a toy. You go to them, they're going to be heated, they're going to be upset, but sitting down with them and explaining to them, hey son, it's okay, it's okay. I understand that you're upset, I understand that you're angry. Let's come up with a better solution. So that's one of the ways anger can definitely be expressed, right? So again, emotions are high, emotions are available. All children have access to a world of feelings, right? So do not suppress a boy's feeling from a girl's feeling. They all have access to these emotions. Okay,
Absolutely, absolutely.
that's something that we teach, and it's very powerful when it comes to that. Secure attachment, when that's one of the bonds or secure attachment that we talk about, Mr. Ernesto, is that when children have access to an emotional learning and their social learning, when they have a father present, that's why I put that, when they learn through a present father figure. If a father figure is not present, then children have a list of unmet needs, and emotional and social learning is definitely on there, right? So they're going to pick up different habits from different father figures, or maybe it's going to be inconsistent, or it might be confusing. It can be destructive as well, right? But when it comes to a secure attachment, when a father figure is available, teaching his children very uh, positive outcomes, right? Because again, children learn um, through observation. And if a father is present, then they're going to have a secure attachment. It actually opens up to children having their full potential when it comes to their physical, their emotional, um, and that's something that's going to be very uh, rewarding at the end of the day, because these are the children that later on are going to grow up, Mr. Ernesto, and they're going to say, "Hey, Dad, thank you for teaching me this." Or guess what, Dad? I'm teaching my son this same thing that you taught me. It all comes down to a legacy, right? It comes down to
Yeah,
the legacy, and what kind of children do you want to, um, what kind of children do you want to help grow, and that's a well educated um, a child that is going to succeed, right? What is the goal of a parent? And that should definitely be it. A conclusion. So this is a quote that I found that was very powerful. It says, "Every child has a different learning style and pace." Right. One of the things that I help our fathers, that I remind our fathers, Mr. Ernesto, is that when you have a mindset of a put down, or telling your child, why can't you be like your older brother? Your older brother learned it faster. You know, look what the quote is saying. Every child has a different learning style and pace. So fathers that are out there and have that mentality, I want you to remind yourself to be patient, because each child is unique, right? Not only capable of learning, but also capable of succeeding. And so that is one of the goals as a father figure. That's definitely something in my book, um, that I want to teach my children, is how to become successful in this life. Because if you start implementing, or if you start implementing social skills and or social learning and emotional learning later on, these are the children that are going to have a lot of inconsistencies, right? So fathers that are on here, be present in the life of your children, because you also do matter.
That's really great. I really like that conclusion. I read a quote,
Hmm.
and it was something along the lines of, if you're telling your child, or as you're teaching your child, and if you're telling them something over and over and they're not learning, then you need to learn how to get them to under. It was something to that point, and that quote that you left us with was
But
really,
yeah,
really great.
it's
And it
amazing.
is, and it's going to show. I grew up. There was four of us as
Mhm.
siblings in my family, and we realized that I'm blessed. Love my parents. They did a fantastic job. Look at me now. But they really made an effort to, and I was conscious of this as a child. I was aware that the way they talked to my older brother or even my little brother is different than me, because we were all at a different level. And
Yeah,
so, but the great thing is that they made us understand why they were talking to us in that way. Why I didn't get yelled at but the other did, or vice versa, right? Because they know that, they were just conscious of that we are all on different planes and different learning levels, and we're all emotionally different. And I think that's really, really important. I
yeah,
don't think that there's one like a little formula that you can just adapt it to every child.
yeah.
It just doesn't function that way, in a perfect world. But no, we know that that's not the way it is, and children learn in different ways now.
Yeah, they do. And when it comes to emotion, one of the questions that I ask in my lessons is that, as the fathers, is it okay to cry? And most of them say, yeah. I've cried myself asleep. And sometimes it's important to understand that every child has access to their emotions. So when a child cries, it's because they have a need or they have a concern, right? It's not about having attention. They're crying to get your attention, because they're crying because they have a need, they have something going on. So that's something very powerful, is to help these fathers understand that crying is acceptable, because it's one
Absolutely.
of the ways of communicating it. And again, it becomes personal, and it's just an amazing experience being able to teach his dads all these different type of providing these tools. My hope is that we're changing lives, and it all starts from home. If we change a father's perspective, if we change the father's life, then they can carry that into their children, and we can see a reflection of that in the generations to come.
That's fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you, Osvaldo. We really appreciate that. Um, we are very blessed to have you guys, the Compadre program, and all of you educators in the program, be part of our community and providing these services to, um, yeah. And for those out there, remember, it is a free program, right? It's a great program. And so fathers, uncles, grandfathers, single fathers, um, anybody could use this really resourceful and educational information. So we're, again, thank you very much what you do through this program in our community by education.
Mhm.
And again, like you said earlier, you want this to, break cycles and
Yeah,
have, and we've got to shape our children. They are, and forever we always will know that they are our future. And so we want to make sure that it is our responsibilities as adults, let alone as fathers, but just as adults, and making sure that the kids and our children get the right education and the right information and guidance, right?
yep.
So thank you so much. Uh, for you community members out there, you guys can see the information is on the screen. Um, in regards to the fatherhood services, you can contact Daisy. Her email is dcgarcia at chs hel.org, or you can call 210-212-25. Again, any information if you're interested, or maybe you know someone, maybe maybe it's your brother or your neighbor across the street or your cousin who could use a program like this, to again, always we can always be better in everything that we do, right? And so being a better father and making sure that the children, and I love that quote, give your child the best gift, a caring, loving father. That's really awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
And so how long is this program again?
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to touch is this program is 14 weeks, so it's about over 3 months commitment. For you fathers that are out there, they're gonna see this message. Just give yourself that experience. I kind of make this an analysis, and what is it? Comparison. Mr. Ernesto is, ask these dads how many of you guys work? Raise your hand, Ernesto. You work too. So how many of you guys take trainings for to learn a better skill, or maybe a promotion, or maybe annual training to remind yourself to do your work at 100%. And that's something that I help these fathers understand is this is what Compadre is. It is a program where you can come and refresh. Yeah, you might be the great, you might be a father that knows how to communicate, but again, we actually break down the components. We actually talk about, we go into depth, we take it a step further. And again, it is a 14-week commitment. It is absolutely free. Um, so give yourself that experience so that you can uh, be more nurturing, more successful, and again, break cycles, right? And make a difference and leave your legacy. Your legacy.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you, Osvaldo. I appreciate you again having you on the Fit Fatherhood series and sharing your knowledge. And thank you to the community out there for your continuous support. Our family strengthening programs are out there, and we are, again, making sure that these services do get to our community. And we will be back next Thursday. I don't know who will be joining us next Thursday. It'll be one of your um,
Probably.
colleagues.
I think it's the last one, right? Last fundamental.
Yeah, it's the last
Fundamental.
fundamental. But yeah, thank you again. Everybody have a wonderful evening and tune in next week for the continuous educational information that Compadre is providing to us in the community. Anything else? Any last words, Osvaldo?
Uh, One last word is, and this is for everybody. It's your present pain is not permanent, meaning that whatever you guys are going through, fathers or mothers, COVID is not gonna be. It's not temporary. The pain that you're going through is not temporary. It's just another. This is also gonna pass. It's not permanent. So, stay hopeful, be optimistic. And hopefully we go back to normalcy uh, after COVID.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hear my dogs barking.
Órale.
But have a wonderful evening and we will talk soon. All right.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening.